Today we're cooking the dishes that made chefs famous. From home kitchens to 3 Michelin stars, these meals didn't just impress, they changed lives. From a dessert that tastes like an English breakfast to Caribbean chicken that made a TV legend.
Check.
But first, what if the dish that made you famous wasn't even meant to exist?
From Modena, Italy, it is the legendary chef Massimo Bottura. Oops, I dropped the lemon tart. They were doing a large table, and just before they were about to serve the dessert, the sous chef dropped the lemon tart. And the sous chef, he was so ashamed. And Bottura saw this splatter, for want of a better word, on the plate, and had a revelation, saying, we've just created art. The dish consists of lots of elements and ingredients from the area of Modena. So we start off with a limoncello zabaglione. So that's just egg yolks and sugar I've got in the bowl. I actually met him once. I've got a photo you can put in. I look about 2 years old.
I don't think he's like a traditional chef. Seems a bit more like an artist.
It's about improvisation, but also is a control improvisation.
And it's a cool looking dish. It's avant-garde.
Food is complex, the flavors are intricate, the skill level is intense, but the inspiration comes from everyday life. It was, but they dropped the lemon tart. Instead of throwing it in the bin, oh my God, 3 Michelin-starred dessert.
It's one of the most accoladed restaurants of all time. I mean, it's been in the top 1, 2 or 3 of the 50 best for the last 10 years.
It's northern Italy, where Ferrari comes from. Forza Ferrari. We've got a nice sort of base. The egg is thickening nicely. Again, you have to keep working it to make sure it doesn't stick to the sides because you don't want a scrambled egg. Next, we're going to go in with the...
Is that Italian?
Go for about 80 ml. Which is pretty punchy for a little... To all our fans that say I'm drinking on the job. So we just added the limoncello. Now we're going to continue to whisk it until it thickens up. Then we'll finish it with some fresh lemon juice. Thickening up nicely, chef. Hit it with a touch of lemon. So although Bottura is sort of seen as an artist, he did have very classical training. So he trained underneath Alain Ducasse, and he's known for taking classic Italian ideas and classic Italian techniques and ingredients and combining them with his creative flair. So this dish came about in around about the 2000s. Since then, in 2016 and 2018, it was awarded Best Restaurant in the World in the San Pellegrino World's 50 Best. Cool, so we're going to plate it up now. I don't know how you do it, but that sounds about right.
Wow, very avant-garde, chef. Looking good.
So then we've got nice lemongrass ice cream, a bit more
slide.
Then we've got our biscuit that we made, and we're going to go on with our Italian ingredients. So we have the candied bergamot, candied ginger, candied lemon. We've got capers from the area, mint oil, and then finally...
Doesn't look the best, does it? There must be a technique to do it.
Proof and taste.
The way Massimo does it, it looks very precise, clean, elegant, but obviously that is a skill in itself.
It's tasty. Yeah, when you get those little interesting flavours, because also every bite is a little bit different. You get the one with the chili oil, or the one with the caper.
I mean, there's nothing not to like, is there?
Challenges people's perception.
I can see why I made him famous, because he is outside of the mould. It's not style over substance, it's banging. Next up, we've got a real treat. Ainsley Harriott.
Why, hello, Bill. How are you, man?
The jerk chicken that made Ainsley Harriott famous. We marinated it yesterday, so it's had 24 hours to sort of absorb all the flavours from that marinade. Got a little bit of turmeric in there. Got those Scotch bonnets in there, which give that really nice fragrance. We've got a little drum barbecue. The heat of this is not too high, and what we're going to do is just lay it on our charcoal and then close that lid and allow it to smoke. And then we're going to save this marinade and spoon it over just before it sort of finishes cooking. I don't know, it's got charisma, charm, energy, sex appeal. He's just kind of like the whole package. But seriously, I do actually love. I used to watch Ready Steady Cook when I came home from school. But yeah, he's just an infectious character. Him and Nigella, the TV personality chefs, are some of the best in the world. Not many people know this, but Ainsley was originally a comedian. He was in a musical comedy act called The Calypso Twins. And then he got his break on a sort of morning TV show.
Good morning.
It's not the most impressive drum, is it?
No.
Look at that colour, beautiful. The thing why Ainsley is so sort of important in terms of in the UK is because he kind of popularised, obviously there was jerk chicken before, but he made it seem a little bit more accessible to the UK audience. I think his parents are from Jamaica, so he's got this big Caribbean influence. He's from London, where there's a huge sort of Caribbean population. So He's kind of been sort of banging the drum for proper Caribbean cooking for a long time. We're going to just serve it with some hot pepper sauce. Super simple. Bosh. This is our
Jerk chicken. Jerky.
Right, go for it. Let's carve this bad boy up. Oh, still nice and juicy. This has actually had 35 million views, this video, on YouTube. Fair to say, it's the main reference point for how to make jerk. Yeah, and Ainsley himself is, he's well known as the meme lord because he's so easy to make good memes out of. A little bit of hot pepper sauce is my preference. There we go. Ainsley Harriott's signature jerk chicken. The most influential chef of all time.
Oh, is he a breast man or a leg man?
To be honest, I love the whole myriad.
Oh, those little crispy bits are so nice.
He knows his way around a jerk chicken.
Next, we're dining with the stars. We're off to Beverly Hills, Wolfgang Puck. The man, the myth, the legend, Wolfgang Puck, smoked salmon pizza. This dish is famous amongst the stars of Hollywood. He trained in France before moving to the US, putting European techniques on classic American dishes. So he opened a restaurant called Spargo in Beverly Hills, huge area for celebrities, Hollywood. So he had some very famous customers. So the story goes, Wolfgang ran out of toast on one service, cooked a pizza dough, and then served the smoked salmon on top for that evening. And the dish was such a hit that it stayed on the menu and became a staple of the menu at Spargo.
It's not the most like inventive thing, is it? But I guess if it was in the 80s, it'd seem a bit.
I think fish and pizza is a bit like, no. It doesn't necessarily need to be something that's crazy and innovative. It's just something that's done very, very well.
Also, it's delicious, isn't it? It's pizza and smoked salmon.
So we've got a little bit of finely diced shallot in there into our creme fraiche base. Yeah, he does the Oscars still to this day. I think he even did it this year. He just does the classic food well, which is what those sort of people want to eat.
Yeah.
So we've got a beautiful pizza base. Baked our pizza base in the oven.
He might be a celebrity chef, but still, he actually got a Michelin star in 2008.
Well, he's like a proper restaurateur. Like, he's not just a chef, he's a restaurateur. You know, he's been there, he's done that. I mean, God only knows how many restaurants he's got around the world, but he's got stuff in Asia. He's got a restaurant in London, numerous in Las Vegas. So, pizza base, very simply, we're going to go on with our dill creme fraiche base.
He's another one of those chefs, though. All of the people who we've sort of done today, they have this like natural sort of charisma. And Wolfgang is definitely like that as well. He's an absolute character.
Apparently he's always drinking Dom Perignon as well.
Really, he loves it.
I feel like Wolfgang would be generous with the salmon. We usually put the onions underneath, but we're going to go on top.
It's the only thing I'm not sure about.
Onion.
Raw onion on a pizza.
So, on final little touch on top of the pizza, we have some beautiful Exmoor caviar, lovely English supplier. The smoked salmon pizza, fresh out of Beverly Hills.
Oh, looks amazing. I can't wait for this. I get some without any onions on it.
No,
It's absolutely delicious. Fair play, Wolfgang. Maybe this is a lesson.
it's just like having a smoked salmon. It's like having smoked salmon on like soda bread.
Keep it simple.
I think it's about having fun with it as well. You want to go out for a light lunch?
Next, keeping it in America, Thomas Keller and his famous dish of oysters and pearl. I'm actually really excited. I've never seen anything like this before. When you actually read the recipe, it's quite a strange recipe. You kind of feel like, how is this going to come together? Thomas Keller's really renowned as a chef for doing simple things really, really, really well. Starts off just by shucking these oysters, and then we're going to trim them all up. So Thomas Keller, American chef with a restaurant called the French Laundry. He is probably the most influential chef in America. He's kind of got this sort of cult status for gastronomy in America. He trained in France.
Like every decent American chef trained under Thomas Keller. Seems like a really, really good guy.
So this dish has been on the menu for 20 years. It's one of the first things you eat when you go to there for the tasting experience. Yeah, we sent one of our chefs there to do a stage there. He said it was the best experience of his life. So that's going into the cream, and then the eye of the meat is just going here.
So that tapioca there has just been soaking. So these are tapioca pearls. You know, you look at a lot of those famous 3-star dishes, it's like, oh yeah, I turned scallops and caviar into a great dish. Wow. Yeah. Whereas this is like tapioca. Well, who the fuck uses tapioca? The tapioca here has been soaked in milk. We're just gonna wash this off and then drain it.
So bring up this milk and cream. We're just gonna wait for it to come to the boil, then place it over our tapioca. Just lightly whip some cream. Milk's come to the boil, pass it over our sieve. So I'd say it's probably one of the most complex recipes of the day. Not the most complex, that'll be later. But it's actually really interesting because it's only a few different ingredients.
How the fudge nuts would he ever have thought of this recipe? It's absolutely bananas.
It's nice as well because he's basically just taken all of the waste to make the sauce. Vinegar, oyster jus, and vermouth. That's the base to our beurre blanc. Shallots go in there as well, and that's just going to be reduced until really nice and syrupy. Wow, it's like rice pudding.
It is actually.
It's weird, but really good. Over a bain-marie, oyster juice, and 4 egg yolks. Place those into the bowl. So it's probably about there. Jack's just watching the video here to try and work out exactly what to do. Creme fraiche.
Cream coming in. Nice light luncheon.
All the sabayon is going in as well.
Chef Thomas, if you're watching, just give us a like and a follow and tell us how we fucked up your recipe.
The reduction's pretty much completely reduced now. So we're just whisking cold butter now into our beurre blanc base.
Bake this in the oven for 4 minutes till it puffs up. See what happens.
And then 4 of these little oyster sort of bodies, we're gonna add into our beurre blanc and then just warm them through lightly. Just finish this with some fine herbs. Okay, so this is baked in the oven now. And then you just lay these oysters on one side with a little bit of the sauce.
I don't think we've done it 100% justice, but we fucking gave it a good go.
Even if that's like not even 50% of the way there, it's still really good.
I think we got the ratios wrong. If you get the oyster, fuck me, it's good.
You need all of it.
Yeah, like just the tapioca, I was a bit like, what the fuck is this? The oyster makes it 100%. The sweetness of the oyster with the sauce and the caviar, saltiness of the caviar, that is mental. I actually feel like I've learned something today.
It's very impressive. He's obviously got some mad skills. Respect on.
We salute you, my friend. Next up, the legendary chef, the most decorated Michelin chef of all time.
Joël Robuchon, known in many circles as the chef of the century. And this is basically on his menu in every single restaurant. So can you imagine the amount of commies who have peeled spuds like this?
So our potatoes have been cooking now for about 22 minutes. Quite therapeutic.
Yeah, it's actually really rewarding. This dish really became very, very famous in the 80s. I think one of the things, like, from doing all of these signature dishes, most of them, apart from maybe Thomas Keller and the last one we're going to do, are quite accessible, using humble everyday ingredients. So it must resonate with people more if you use a sort of everyday ingredient.
So we've got our potatoes and we're just going to press them through our sieve here. We call this a drum sieve or a tammy. You want to make sure you're pushing down and not scraping to ensure that the potato, you don't make it too gloopy. Nice. It's important to do this when it's warm. As it cools down, some gets a bit harder to put it through. So we're actually going to pass this twice. While we're passing the potatoes as well, we've got a pan of butter on here. So the thing that makes this dish so luxurious is the amount of butter to potato ratio. 50% of the amount of butter to potato. So potatoes are passed. So we're going to place that into our pan. So we're going to add our butter into our potatoes. I'm just going to ladle some warm milk in. So Robuchon has 20 restaurants worldwide, spanning from Tokyo, Vegas, New York, London. So one of his most famous restaurants was this restaurant in Paris called Jamin, and it won 3 Michelin stars, attaining a further star in every year concurrently. So the mash is nice now. But to elevate it, Robuchon firstly used a ton of butter, in his own word, and the second thing was he passed the mash several times. We used to do this at dinner. We used to make mash similar to this dinner, 20 kilo a day.
Nice.
So we just added the milk now. We tasted it for seasoning. It's delicious, beautiful, buttery. So now we're just going to serve it up. One of the most luxurious side dishes of the 21st century.
Look at that. Right, let's dig in. Wow. It's very seductive.
It's like, you know you shouldn't be eating it.
Be good with some gravy, wouldn't it?
Onion gravy.
Oh, it's delicious. I mean, do I think it's signature dish worthy? I mean,
Yeah.
absolutely. If you went to that restaurant or any of his restaurants, you would always order the mash. So if he can do that worldwide, he's kind of cracked it, you know? And it's just a potato. Every other chef would have had access to the same ingredients, but no one thought to do it exactly like this. Next, we're staying in France for one of the most decorated female chefs of all time, Hélène Darroze. Is actually from a dynasty of great chefs. Her father was a chef, and his father was a chef, and his father before him. Bold flavors. She's not afraid of using a little bit of spice. And this dish is a curried lobster dish with carrot puree, citrus sauce, and a little bit of purple carrot for garnish as well. So what we're going to do first, we've already made the puree just by heating up a little bit of carrot juice with some very thinly sliced carrots, boiling it down, waiting until they're really soft and blitzing them up. To make the lobster butter, we got all of the trim from the lobster, and then we infused it with a few spices, and then we just cooked it out until the lobster was really, really nice and caramelized, and it's got a lot of sort of Madras flavours and heats in there. Now I think she would barbecue it, but what we're going to do is just lightly warm it through the oven. And this has already been pre-cooked, and we've got a tail and we've got the claw as well. So her most famous restaurant is actually in London. Her main 3-star is in the Connaught, which is a historic London hotel. And what we're just going to add here is just some grapefruit, some orange juice, and a touch of lemon juice as well. So this dish has actually been on her menu at the Connaught for over 10 years, credited with getting her the status of 2 Michelin stars. Originally, when this was on the menu, it was a 1-star restaurant, and they now have 3 stars. Some of the best chefs in London have also been through this kitchen. A chef that's very well renowned is Alex Stilling, who was her head chef for a long time, now has a 2 Michelin star restaurant just up the road from us. So once the citrus reduces, we're just going to add a little bit of chicken jus to the pan and then continue to reduce that. So the citrus gives it a really beautiful fresh note, and the chicken sort of jus just gives it a beautiful savoury note as well. Purple carrot, which is just going to be a garnish. Got a nice fine attachment on a mandolin. Shit, lost my carrot. Always use the guard when you're using a mandolin, especially with floppy little carrots. Just dress those carrots with a little bit of oil, salt and pepper, and then we're ready to plate up.
Yes!
Let's do this.
Baby!
So onto the plate with a small little quenelle of carrot puree. Just place a little ridge divot in. Small amount of coriander oil. And then take this beautiful chicken and citrus sauce and just lightly dress that lobster. We should have this beautiful sheen to it. Place these small rondelles of dressed carrot on the side of the plate, and then just use a tiny little bit more of the coriander oil to split out that sauce, and then finish the dish with just a little bit of micro coriander just to sort of reinforce the curry flavors. There we go. Very elegant.
So interesting how she, saying she takes influence from everywhere she's been, places she's been, people she knows. This really couples together Indian spices with like classic French techniques. I've had it. I went to the Connaught when I first moved to London and had a version of this dish. It's so light. It feels fresh.
It's just very elegant, isn't it? Very
elegant, yeah.
Nicely balanced.
Even the coriander crest, like you get it at the end.
Yeah.
I can see why this made her famous, man.
It's banging.
Leading female chef of the 21st century.
Definitely a signature dish, worthy dish. Awesome. Where are we going to next, boss?
One of Britain's finest exports, none other than Gordon Ramsay with his famous beef Wellington. So we're going to start off with our herb pancakes.
So with the herb pancakes, what we've done is just blitzed up lots of herbs. So parsley, eggs, milk, flour, in a Thermomix, and then just lightly roll them around in a pan so they get really nice and thin. This is how he does it at the Savoy. Although it's not his signature dish, this is probably the dish that he's become most synonymous with. And it's important to note, he didn't actually invent it, but he definitely gave it a new lease of life.
I read as well that it's featured on every series of Hell's Kitchen since it started.
Oh my God.
He's done it on YouTube, he's done it on all of his cooking shows, features in his books.
Ramsay's one of those figures now because he's actually like the TV personality, pretty much you name it, he's done it. But he is a very, very well respected chef. I think all the chefs that I've known throughout my entire career have always spoken about his abilities, like how he runs a business is basically unparalleled. Originally it was a fillet en croûte, but then he just souped it up and made an old classic more relevant today. So this is a mushroom duxelle, chestnut mushrooms just sauteed down with until all the moisture comes out of the mushroom, and then you've got a little bit of sauteed garlic in there as well. Got a layer of Parma hams. He can do chicken mousse in this layer, but he does it on his most viral YouTube recipe of this.
He gets a lot of stick for, opening like lots of fast casual restaurants, but at the end of the day, he's made his brand, he's done the hard yards, which a lot of people haven't,
Yeah, when he's opening people up on Kitchen Nightmares.
You think you can actually cook?
Yes!
Like, it wouldn't work if he didn't have the sort of pedigree to back it up.
So we've got our fillet of beef here. So next up, we're going to just roll this bad boy up. And we're going to roll it nice and tight to get the shape. It's a labour of love. Like, it's not something you're just going to smash out on a Tuesday afternoon.
If you want my absolute honest opinion, I always think that it's a bit of an anticlimax at Wellington. Do you ever think, wow, that's worth all the work, just compared to just having a nice fillet steak?
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things that I think when people go too clever, it gets a bit too. Like, just a really nice beef fillet wrapped in pastry is delicious. So we just wrapped up Wellington. I'm going to chuck it in the fridge for half an hour to set. So we're going to take our lovely beef parcel, place it on top of the pastry, and then we're going to wrap the pastry over the top. And then where the ends meet, I'm just going to cut, and we're just going to mold it round the sides, making sure the ends are nice and tight. You get a nice shape like so, and then just seal it, and then we're going to go back in the fridge. There you go. So there's our lettuce, and we're going to lay that over the beef when it's ready to bake. Okay, so we've taken our welly out the fridge. My glamorous assistant on my left is just making the lettuce. Hey, you're doing a really great job.
Cheers.
I'm going to glaze the top with some egg wash. This is one meaty mother, sticking it onto the top of the welly. Another little glazage. I feel like Massimo Bottura over.
Don't fucking drop it, mate.
Hey, that was quick for you. Flaky salt all over the top.
Extra layer of crisp.
That's what you said, brother.
I like your style.
Thanks, man. Hot tray out. Wellington on, back in, full fan, 220. It is a big boy.
Oh! Hey, chef, that is absolutely spot on. Fantastic work.
I mean, it's pretty well made. Good recipe, Gordon.
Oh, wow. The knife just glides through.
The Parma ham really adds something. It's like salty. Salty, well, earthiness from the mushrooms, crisp texture from the pastry. The pancake is more just there as a barrier, but you can see it really holds in the moisture and makes the pastry nice and crisp. Like, nothing worse when you get a Wellington all slopping around and sliding apart, but the pancake helps to hold in that moisture.
And there's no sort of soggy bottom. Next, a French classic from a woman who arguably put American French food on the map, Julia Child. Writer, author, she's sort of credited with teaching America how to cook and specifically French food. So what we're gonna do is just dice this up so it's nice and thick. A rump roast. You want nice big chunks, which are gonna braise really nicely and slowly. This is a Croft family recipe now.
We dabbled in a beef bourguignon on a Sunday afternoon with a nice glass of Bordeaux. I do love a bourguignon.
Yeah, banging. So this was the first dish that Julia Child made in a sort of pilot cooking show.
Hello, I'm Julia Child. Welcome to the French Chef.
The TV show got commissioned off the back of the success of that first episode.
The reason it made her so famous is because people could resonate with it so well. Because in that period, 1960s America, the French cuisine has such a, everyone thought it was so fancy that you couldn't reproduce it, and her doing this dish on live TV showed the Americans that the French food could be accessible. Beef
bourguignon really just gets its name from the wine that you use. So you're meant to be using a Burgundy red wine for it. You're looking for this like all-round, really nice dark colour all over the beef. You're just using some of the beef chunks to take off any of the fond on the bottom as well. Then we're going to go in with bacon. I do think that, if you think about all the recipes that we've done, it does show you that food has got a lot more complicated. And if this is kind of like the height of people's ambitions back in the 60s, I'd say that the home cook is now 10 times more adventurous than they used to be. This is almost like a midweek meal now. I'm just going to go in there with our onions. We're going to lightly caramelize these. Okay, so now that our onions have cooked down nicely, just add in some carrots. Right, add the mushrooms in and give those a little saute as well. Garlic goes in next, and then just pick a little bit of thyme. I'm just gonna go in now with just a tablespoon of flour, and that'll basically just bind all that fat at the bottom, and it's gonna act as a thickener for the sauce. Good squeeze of tomato puree, and then just cook that out a little bit. Beef goes back in, onions go in. And these are little whole baby onions as well. Just taking the skin off and left the root intact. So we're just gonna add in the wine element now. And you do actually use a whole bottle of wine. Traditionally, you should use a Burgundy wine. Good amount of beef stock. And this is gonna reduce right down. It's gonna cook for about 3 hours, 180 degrees. So the cartouche, we don't use them that often, but it's perfect for this because essentially what you'll have is, as this evaporates, the cartouche will keep all the ingredients submerged under the liquid. You just place that down, then make sure it's nicely submerged all the way. Okay, so into the oven now, 180 for around about 3 hours until super tender and soft, all the meat. Right, okay, so this has now been in for about 3 hours. Oh, that cartouche has done its job. All that sauce coats the beef and the onions perfectly. So there we go. The ultimate Julia Child French winter warmer, the beef bourguignon.
You can imagine at the time when it was made, it was like, what is this wizardry?
But now it's just a beef stew.
It is a beef stew, but it's luxurious.
No offense, Julia.
I think the key here is it made it famous because of the time, because of the place.
Last but not least, we have some real kitchen scientific wizardry. Some molecular gastronomy that's going to blow your mind.
Right, the one you've all been waiting for.
Heston Blumenthal, this would be done tableside in the restaurant. So super sort of enigmatic, just very Heston, you know?
So I'm going to take this egg pricker, punch a hole in the bottom of my egg, and punch a hole in the top of my egg. And in the hole in the bottom, we're just going to make the hole a little touch bigger, and I'm just going to blow the egg out the bottom.
Go on, it's coming out whilst
You're leaking.
You know, you've done this before, haven't you, mate?
Pretty degrading.
Oh. What did you do with the egg afterwards? You can't
Meringue.
serve that to start.
Omelette. And there you go. Feel that, it's like a ping pong ball.
Okay, so once these have been blown out, then you sterilize the eggs so they're nice and clean. And then yesterday we made our bacon and egg custard, so it's just set overnight. We made a simple custard, but it's got more egg in it than you would normally. It's got a whopping 24 egg yolks in there. So it's really, really, for want of a better word, eggy. And it's got a little bit of bacon in there too. So what we want to do is just take a little bit of dough and create a little stopper on the bottom of the egg. But you don't want it to be sort of visible to the naked eye, otherwise that will sort of get rid of some of the drama. And then we fill up our egg. So once it's completely full, just add another bung on top and smooth it down and make sure it's fully sealed. And then they'll be ready for service. So for those of you who don't know Heston Blumenthal, the most influential chef of the whole lineup in our career, he took a lot of learnings from places like El Bulli, and he brought that back to the UK.
So the garnish for our egg and bacon ice cream, we need to make our soldiers. So we're going to get some butter in a pan, clarified butter, just warm that through. And then we're going to place our brioche fingers, soldiers even, into the pan. And then we're going to lay this down in the pan and we're going to caramelize all of the edges, nice and gentle, looking for that perfect color on the brioche. So I've actually had this dish in the Fat Duck the first time I went. I've been lucky enough to go twice to the Fat Duck. And this one, I think it was just after I started at dinner. So it would have been about 2014, 2015. And what they actually do is they have like a crepe Suzette trolley and they wheel it up to the table. And then they have a huge copper pan and they crack the eggs into the pan with liquid nitrogen, and they basically make your scrambled eggs on the table side. It was actually one of the nicest dishes. I thought it was a bit of a gimmick when you hear egg and bacon ice cream. But when you actually break it down into the different components, everything is there for a reason. And it's just pretty genius, to be honest.
Okay, so we're just colouring off this bread. We added a bit of sugar to the outside, and we want it to be really nice and caramelised. So we've just got a little bit of clarified butter in there, and we're cooking it on every side. Basically like honey toast, but like honey buttery brioche. So we're just decanting the liquid nitrogen. And liquid nitrogen is insanely cold, and it'll basically make ice cream in the pan, like instant ice cream. Right, Jack, you ready?
So we've got our eggs. We're now going to crack our scrambled egg into the pan. We're making, you can have a 3-egg scrambled egg. 3 eggs, boom!
And then liquid nitrogen goes in whilst stirring. This is pretty sick, isn't it? Can you imagine thinking of being the person who thought about that?
I'm going to spread a little bit of marmalade on our brioche, bottomless brunch style. Who's got some candy bacon, just to mimic the theme. There we have it.
That looks epic.
That's got to be dish of the day, surely. We've nailed that. Hey. Nah.
So mean, isn't it?
I don't think it's a gimmick. I actually think it's genius.
That is genius.
My dad had this dish, actually. I remember asking about it. He said it was stupid.
Well, it's in what sense?
Well, you just sort of like an old school chef, isn't it? It has the flavour of egg and bacon. Genius.
I'm going to lay down the gauntlet and say this is my favourite. Hélène Darroze is a close second.
Really?
Yeah, for very different reasons, but this is just genius.
It's fun, it's genius, it's technical, it's everything. That is a 3-star dish, and you can see why it made him famous. Least favourite, I mean, beef bourguignon, maybe? Not to say I don't love a beef bourguignon, but it's just not quite on the same level as the others. Countless hits today.
To be honest, I think there's a lot to be said for, as a chef, if you can nail a signature dish that's simple and easy, rather than a bacon and egg ice cream.
If you enjoyed this video, then check out our other video, Michelin-starred dishes through the decades. Yeah.